back home in Africa, most especially in Nigeria and likewise in other African countries. So when we talk about family, we're also worried about the extended family that are not doing very well back home.
Listeners, this is Starr Radio UK. So, like before again, I'm not the studios at today in the South Cities of bringing you updates from Nigeria. As I just said, I've shared the broadcast with friends and loved ones and invited to like our things as well. So, now let's go on. I told listeners, as I did apologize yesterday, Yomi was saying rather than that's why he couldn't come over. But the Naira issue seems to be going on. There seems to be a division in the country. Some are saying, oh, yes, accept the old Naira. Some are saying, no, you can't accept that, and there's that going on. So much confusion. Now, we're waiting for the Supreme Court to rule again. The Supreme Court is saying that, well, we hear new Naira still. What is going on?
Well, I remember that the federal government, was doing everything, to disagree with the Supreme Court. On the 8th of February, Nigerians, were having the hope that the Supreme Court ruling, would allow them to continue spending, the Naira note. But unfortunately, what we've seen is that, the federal government have literally disagreed with that. So when you now look back and ask the question, who actually, runs the country as we speak right now? But I can confirm that later on today, there's no update yet, but the court ruling will decide, on whether we should continue to spend, the old Naira note bill or use the new Naira note bill, which, is making a lot of the problem that we have. So that is the old Naira note that is giving the big concern. I mean, money does change. We've said that a lot of times, even in UK. But the problem in Nigeria is, the federal government insists that the only 200 Naira out of that is still allowed, to be spent, up till April 10. But later on today, we hear new Naira note suit by the Supreme Court insists. The Supreme Court on Wednesday maintained that come what may, the new Naira note suit must be heard because it's just about 3 days before the election, and whatever is going to happen is going to have a big impact in terms of the ruling. During the Wednesday proceeding, the Council for Lagos State, Moyoshore Onigbanjo, prayed the court to prohibit the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, from defending the respondent while acting in contempt of initial court order as he comes tongue-in-cheek to ask for relief. He stated that the issue of contempt supersedes issue of jurisdiction. Responding, Justice John Okoro said, "You are not a stranger to this country. We don't want a situation where judiciary will be a scapegoat. We refuse to be the scapegoat." So we are hearing this matter today. We don't need to keep this matter longer, whether they obey it or not, following the series of declarations. So by tomorrow, we will find out what the Supreme Court is saying regarding, the presidency policy in changing the new Naira note. Starr Radio UK.
Okay, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time now to exactly 13 minutes past the top of the hour. Now we know. Now we've got 2 days, some hours, and some minutes, and some seconds ticking down to the election day, the 23rd. Now, do you monitoring everything going on? Insecurity. Yesterday we had the U.S. That was the link for yesterday. The U.S. embassy saying that security alert pertaining to the elections and everything that's going to happen there. And then we have the Naira, the new Naira notes, and everything that is going on. Do you think the election is still going to go? Yeah.
Well, we have said it, the election is going to go ahead as planned, but there will be, uncertainty come, this weekend. Part of the uncertainty is still the issue of the Naira note that the government have refused, to deal with. I was actually putting that question, to, some of our listeners, and I did ask, can this government rectify the problem in 7 days, from the time we put this information out? As the election countdown begins, because we are now at that fever election, we saw, the president, maybe, trying to push the last part to support his party, was in Lagos State where the final APC campaign concluded. The president was there, and the rest of the team as well. And we can see the president holding Tinubu's hand and likewise the governor of Lagos State. Whether that is going to make an impact is something that we have to look at. But 2 days, 23 hours, 44 minutes, the second is going down. February 25th, as the election is being scheduled. But the problem is, will this election be able to hold in all the 774 local government in the midst of so many things that is happening, especially, we never saw the Naira situation that would also derail the election process. Because as much as you don't need to have to travel that far to vote, but the problem is, every weekend in the last 3 weeks, we have seen disruption of people that have not been able to access their money and protest. Are we going to see election running on Saturday coming, or are we going to see Nigerians going on the street as times of protest? So you're quite right. The American government have spoken. I actually saw, their communique as well. They're not endorsing, neither are they supporting anybody. As I said to you right now, as I speak to you, we also have it right in front of me that the Katrina Lang was yesterday invited to speak. And what she's now saying is, thanks to, we don't have to mention the media station in Nigeria. Thanks for having me on the hashtag 2023 birthday show yesterday. It was great to discuss Nigeria election with one of the presenters. Recited the UK is neutral and they share our support for Nigerian democracy and its institution. But the question the indigenous people are asking is, why are they not sharing the same with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, a British citizen that has been kept in the custody of the DSS while the government refused to listen to the rule of law? Also, as we know, that the British High Commissioner, Katrina Lang, has literally tried as much as possible avoid anything that's got to do with Nnamdi Kanu. So each time, Nnamdi Kanu matter comes on to her desk, she's kind of trying to run away from having that sort of discussion. And the Biafra have insisted that there will not be any election until Nnamdi Kanu is released, and that will probably change the narrative. But as we see right now, I heard you talking about the health of Nnamdi Kanu, where there's nothing indicating, but you never know. Maybe there's still ongoing pressure because Nnamdi Kanu release might probably release the tension in the southeast. But as I speak to you right now, Starr in the UK, there is no indication yet that this government have any plan in releasing Nnamdi Kanu.
Now, just picking up from Nnamdi Kanu's story, now information coming through from the southeast is saying that Simon Ekpa is the one who has instructed that there should be a sit down, a sit at home for that 5 days that we were talking about the other time during the election, before and during the election time. But the IPOB are saying that they have not said anything of this. So there seems to be a fragmented front once again. So what are the people listening to? Will they stay at home? Are they going to be? It's very, very confusing. Can you throw a bit of light on that?
Well, let's get a bit of clarification on that. Simon Ekpa even have got the mandate to speak on behalf of all the Biafra as a spokesperson. The problem is, the doors, are those that are compromised Nnamdi Kanu, and some of those within that caucus were those that sold him out to the Nigerian government from Kenya because they knew his movement and they were literally, able to sell Nnamdi Kanu, and that made his arrest. Even in the communique that came out that I saw, from Simon Ekpa, he actually said in that communique that came through, the lawyers of Nnamdi Kanu, that the doors, which is meant to be the other part, must not engage, must not say anything different from whatever Simon Ekpa is saying. Simon Ekpa has the mandate of the Biafras, but yes, we do have those that disagree with him, and there's no doubt, those individuals, might probably say that there's not going to be a sit down at home. And I'm trying to see if I can bring that communique that Simon released a few days ago. But yes, the indication is there will be a sit down at home, and that sit down at home means that everybody must have to sit down at home, and the reason for that is they disagree, with their leaders in the southeast as well. And yes, I have that communique right here, and this was a memo on instruction and directives of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and this is also coming from one of the legal, representative of Nnamdi Kanu. And it says right in front of me, DOS is forbidden from responding to Simon Ekpa no matter what. That's on number one. And number two, DOS never disable into the finance of the family. So if you look at the number one, it gives the mandate for Simon Ekpa to speak on behalf of the Biafra as a spokesperson. And likewise, he's not just the only one working, he's working with the rest of the team that are making those decisions. So he's just a spokesperson on behalf of the Biafra.
Okay, he's just a spokesperson. We'll see what is happening on that front. Whether people are going to listen to what someone ever has said or what the icon on the ground are saying at the moment. Larry Lamina, I said, good afternoon to you, Mr. Koiki and Archie. More grace to your elbows, and more grace to your elbows as well. Once you do everything possible to listen to us as well. As many of you who are listening to us on the various platforms, we salute each and every one of you. Starr Radio UK. Now, your election is getting closer. Now, a very leader, Ayo Adebanjo, has told Nigerians to vote for Obi against Tinubu. So we have some chess movements there. This one's supporting that one is supporting that. At the end of the day, we don't know what exactly what is going on. Yomi.
Well, he's an elderly man, and we call him the elder spokesman. I mean, the elder statesman, within the Yoruba. So when you look at, somebody like, we call him Pa Ayo Adebanjo. I had an opportunity to meet him, during my traveling to Nigeria, some few years ago. And as much as, they believe in Yoruba nation cause, but at the moment they believe also that the country can be restructured, and they have been fighting for this restructuring. But the question is, they've not endorsed Tinubu, even though Tinubu is a Yoruba man. So the headline says, Afenifere leader Ayo Adebanjo, the social cultural group, tells Nigerians to vote for Peter Obi against Tinubu. We don't have money to fight them, but we must do everything legitimately to free ourselves. Well, free ourselves from what? Free ourselves from those that are holding bondage of Nigerians from the APC, according to him, or free ourselves as indigenous people. Afenifere leader Ayo Adebanjo has appealed to Nigerians to vote Peter Obi of the Labour Party flag bearer in Saturday presidential election against his kinsman Bola Tinubu. We know that Bola Tinubu, was someone that was also working with them at some time in the AD, but it seems that he outsmarted each of these elder statesmen, and he has been able to use that to his own advantage, and that's why they call him the Jagaban. But some say he's not a Jagaban; is what we can call Jagarudi. I'm not going to give the full meaning of that. Mr. Adebanjo made the appeal when he hosted the leadership of the Atunlushe initiative. Atunlushe means that people that wants a betterment of the country, a social cultural group and political group on yesterday in Lagos. We don't have money, but we have everything legitimately to free ourselves. Are we going to free ourselves this weekend? The balls is now rolling and the countdown is already out there, and we will continue to monitor that on Starr Radio UK. Maybe tomorrow we might have one of our team that will speak to us right from Lagos State, and probably maybe they might get one or two people just to get the views of Nigerians regarding this election.
But let me touch on one other story now. Go into some of the other stories. The explosive gunshot rocks Rivers TV radio station. Now, is it somebody or a group of people who are supporting what we call it, a particular party, and because of that, like a station that's supporting a particular party, that's why an attack of that sort has happened there.
Well, the good thing is that nobody's pointing finger anymore on the atrocity happening in the southeast as against the Biafrans. Now we know that Wike, as an example, the governor, I listened to his media interview over the weekend, and you can still say that he's not endorsing, neither is he supporting Atiku at all. We do know that he has given platform for Tinubu. Explosion, is not something new in Nigeria, but it's something that is having a big impact, especially on facilities that are meant to be part of the communication. Imagine if we have such in UK, that means a lot of our listeners will not be able to listen to us. So the radio station, the TV stations are not also left from attack, especially in what is known in Nigeria today. So I can tell you that yesterday night there was an attack on the popular radio station known as Which FM 99.5 and the Atlantic Television Network in Uzuba, in Obia Akpo local government area of Rivers State, with explosive device suspected to be dynamite as well as periodic gunshots. So you can tell that whoever is behind such atrocity has gone there to make a lot of collateral damage. What you didn't ask is, has this got to link with any of the two political parties, or are they also campaigning for such? Each of the radio stations are meant to be neutral, But we do know that sometimes, there could be a little bit, into one part of the political party. But the incident which occurred just about before 9 p.m. led to destruction of some equipment, property, and facility, which houses the two media outfit and is owned by a member of the House of Representatives, Chinyere Igwe. So definitely, this is a political attack. Igwe is also an ardent supporter of the Presidential People's Party Democrat Atiku Abubakar. So right there, by the time you multiply things together, you can tell that the attack is got to do with a political tone.
Well, so will the election still go? But Olayomi says, good afternoon. Here, White Lion and Archie. And he said, we are missing Yomi so much on YouTube. And he says, Omobola, okay, he got it, Omobola as well, Lamina as well. Then a very Joe Samson, would love you to meet as well. You know about it. Yeah, good morning to you. And thank you very much to every one of you who are tuning in this morning to listen, view, and check up on us and enjoy the show as well. I hope you enjoy the show. Share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. Now, Yomi, interestingly, the final push to accelerate mobilization for his victory at the Saturday's presidential poll, the Nigeria Labour Congress has directed all state councils, including affiliate unions, to vote the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Olayomi, in forthcoming Saturday election. Do you think that the NLC, the Nigeria Labour Congress, will listen to their leaders? Do you think so?
Well, remember that the new leader was meant to have gone on to an open protest with the government, but as usual, he's gone quiet because when he came on board some 20 days ago, he did say that should the ongoing crisis of Naira and fuel continue, the NLC, the Nigerian Labour Congress, will release a statement for a total shutdown of a protest against such. He hasn't done so, so maybe to fight back the current ruling government, that is why they are endorsing, Peter Obi as against probably maybe putting more pressure, which would have been, but again, they'll make those decisions. But you're quite right. There'll be a lot of margin. I saw the ADC folding up, supporting Labour Party, and likewise vice versa. We saw some Labour Party members that have also crossed over to endorse Tinubu. So within the next 72 hours, we will see a lot of fold up between each of these three political parties, and we will continue to monitor such as well.
What I'm going to say is, if they vote or not, Nigeria is surely going down, and we will definitely break the camels back 100%. Now, if you were saying that we'll try to get some people on the ground or properly, but how are they feeling at this time? How do you predict their feeling? Because insecurity, no money for yourself, as whether they are saying that on the voting day, no vehicles will be allowed to be moving around, people will not be allowed to be traveling up and down the country. And so the ones that will be only allowed are the ones who are like election monitoring groups that have been accredited by the INEC and a few of them. So just a handful of people will be moving around. Now, what are you doing right now? Yes.
Well, the mood on the ground is not a very good one. I got to be honest with you. The mood on the ground in Nigeria right now is very, very bitter. And the reason for that mood is still got to do with the currency. I mean, especially the market traders. They have a lot of the old currency. Vehicles are rejecting. One of our team had to walk a very long walk because he had the old currency. Not that he doesn't have the money. We gave him the money for transportation. But the transport is not taking the old currency. Even though the governors in the state are assuring their citizens in the state to continue to exchange these so that the pressure will not be on each one of the side. But that is not happening. I don't know how this election is going to go along in the line of the mood. And in every mood, it triggers a lot of violence as well. And we saw that 3 banks were burnt down in Shagamu. In the last 3 weeks, like I said, every weekend, it has been chaos. And in the next 3 days, should the government still not be able to work out this new currency, the mood is not going to be a very good one going into a Saturday election, or maybe election that could be postponed. We wouldn't know because I was on the ground on 2019, and a lot of people are already sleeping, but some of us were still awake when the government was also saying the election has been postponed.
Will the election be postponed or not? Larry says, yeah, definitely not going back. Yoruba Nation all the way. And Aberi Johnson says, good afternoon, my brother there. And all that interaction there, good one there. Okay, now let's go to Yomi for the rest of the story. Speaking around. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, because of our time constraint, we're just going to take one more from the news and then go straight to the social media as well. Court orders forfeiture of 14 properties linked to the Kogi State government. Remember that the wife of the Kogi State has been wanted by the EFCC, but it looks like she's still in the country, or she's probably found her way outside, even though the husband is still the governor, but you can't do anything because he's got immunity as we speak right now. But the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos State on Wednesday today has now ordered the forfeiture of 14 properties in Lagos, Abuja, and also United Arab Emirates linked to the Kogi State government. Justice Nicholas granted the interim order following an ex parte motion filed by the EFCC. EFCC counsel Mr. Rotimi Oyedapo, senior advocate of Nigeria, who argued the ex parte motion, told the court that the properties, including the ones in the world's tallest building, Burj Khalifa, in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, were reasonably suspected to have been derived from unlawful activity. We don't know, there's just something wrong with African, leaders that, whenever they have this opportunity, then they move the money straight to Dubai and America and US and, probably just to, I don't know. But while their citizens are suffering, so we see how this is going to go. But justice order authorized EFCC to confiscate the sum of 400 million naira also linked to the state and recover from one Aminu Falala. Oyedepo informed the court that 400 million was reasonably suspected to have been derived from unlawful activity and intended to be used for accusation of a plot at Bishop Oluwole Street, Victoria Land. I mean, 400 million. I mean, why that could have built a lot of local housing to some of those people in the state. But that is the situation on the ground in Nigeria, and it's just a pity that these leaders care less as well. Gunmen also burned a woman in Imo, razed 5 houses. What a very sad story there coming as well. And INEC removes Imo PDP candidate from the election list as well. So let's go straight to the social media. Last boy, dear Twitter, we know Nigerian government is at work with you officially, and our posts aren't for violence, but the truth must be told, even though it's bitter. We are really suffering in Nigeria. We continue to expose their evil act. Thanks for your support. So it's just a message to Twitter that please allow some of our message to go through. If I don't know why you will be scared of Muslim ticket. And Muslims and Christians not serving the same God anymore? What a very tricky one there, because Tinubu and Shetima is a Muslim ticket. So he's saying that if Muslim and Christians are serving the same God, why then is everybody scared? But people are scared because of believing that both to religion as a president is not giving way to the Christians as well. Also, Simon Ekpa, Biafra, what Finnish government told us we report when we report Simon Ekpa. These are a bunch of Nigerian criminals who came to Finland with false identity. Some of them are into various crimes presently or in the past. So it's probably responding as well. Omoyele Sowore is also still making a push, even though we tend not to be talking about it, but he's also making headways. A great meeting with the AAC party and the newly elected leaders of the NLC, led by the NLC president, Comrade Joe Ajaro, even though he has endorsed the secretary of the NLC, where Sowore, with those things are there. But we know that, like you said earlier, NLC is not endorsing Sowore. Omo Dua, Nigerians in the subconscious mind think they are English. The English got them exactly what they wanted. Look down on everything about themselves and find pride only in the way we give to them. And the last one, we also say that also it seems that the British High Commission is moving around. She's also been at one of the mainstream media again this morning, where she was also thanking them and discussing the Nigeria election. And the one that will come to you last is still the Naira scarcity. There's a woman and some of the Nigerians. I'll see if I can get that video in tomorrow. But she's actually climbing it seems that nobody's getting through the main door anymore. They're now climbing from outside, getting into the banking hall. What a very fantastic time to be alive in Nigeria. But again, we'll get that video ready for the program later on this evening. But as we always say, we will be here discussing all these issues affecting Nigerians, both at home and outside the country. This is Star Radio UK. It is the finest African and Caribbean. And also, it seems that more money has been out there now that is fake. Please be careful, as 3 have been arrested in Kebbi for, guess what, 17 million naira of the fake, 17 million naira of the new note that is fake.
Wow. So people can just quickly bring complete up. My goodness.
Well, there was an artist that got angry. It's a very controversial one, but it's out there, known as Portable. He actually was singing somewhere in Shagamu. And when you're there, it's late in the night. You don't know how much money you have been given when you're spraying the money. It was after he returned back home. Every one of those money are fake.
Wow! So you were dancing, putting money on
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, with the lesson hold or not? You know what? This evening is going to happen live once again. The Niger Voices. And this is around 2 days plus some hours and some minutes and some seconds to the lesson. What will we discuss on Niger Voices?
Well, the focus point will be again the election that is just wrangling over there with the pressure being there, and right there is the bank situation where everyone is trying very hard to get into Access Bank, but they're no longer using the main door. Everyone is now trying to get through from the window. But tonight we'll be discussing again election fever. What should we be expecting? And this is going to be the conversation later on tonight. So the election fever is the conversation tonight.
Okay, election fever, the conversation tonight. And don't miss it at all. Don't miss it. Because there's what's happening. And that is the platform where you have all the time to also share your take with us on the platform. But tell me, before you go.
Well, stay tuned with Archie for the rest of the program. I will be back definitely later on tonight on Niger Voices at 1800 hours. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, and listeners, it is Starr. I'm going to bring you my favorite song with Jeanette. It says, Ready Demi. Okay, so let's hold on. Don't type it down. You know what? I'll come back and look at audio. With my Jeanette. It says, Ready Demi. Okay, so
just hold on. Don't tag the down. But you know what? I'll come back and we'll look at all the other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. Stay tuned. Don't you go away. Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Toe dog.
Èmi ò sọ nípa
fòmìnira fórílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Mi ò polongo fáráyé, èmi ò sọ nípa orílẹ̀-èdè yóò. Ohun tí mo fẹ́ ni mo fẹ́, èmi fòmìnira fórílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Ìlú tán lọ́rùn fi lọ lọ́rùn yọ. Èyí tó yàn ló tún ṣe lọ́gàn. Bàbá fẹ́ wá, ó tó yọ wá. Wọ́n ṣe wá lọ́gàn, ó tún wá fálùmọ́ ní sí. Èmi ọ̀pọ̀ lọ́mọ ìfáráyé. Mo ẹ̀tọ́ bàbá rẹ̀. Èmi ọ̀pọ̀ lọ́mọ ìfáráyé.
Okay, so welcome back to the program Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Ó sì
That was a nice, lovely tune from
èmi fòmìnira fórílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Mi ò polongo,
the one and only Jeanette.
mi ò sọ nípa
Orílẹ̀-èdè mi.
ohun tí mo fẹ́ ni mo fẹ́. Èmi fòmìnira fórílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá.
Okay, let's take a quick commercial break and then we'll look at some of the other stories making the rounds. I'll be taking you to the Houses of Parliament exactly at 12 o'clock for the Prime Minister's question time. So stay tuned, don't you go away.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free.